what can I say? We came into this game as not the favourites, obviously. You know, we won 3 games on the bounce, and for some reason, a lot of the fan base thought that that was going to be enough to get us through today. I never thought so. City, obviously, are a killing machine, and United struggled today in large parts. Let's start with the basics. The refereeing decision, poor for me. Don't think it was a pen. However, once it gets physical in the box, you're always giving the referee something to latch on and something to use. None of the City players really kind of campaigned for it, but the referee saw something and thought to give it. Up until that point, City didn't really trouble Manchester United. They didn't really do anything in open play. But lo and behold, Haaland steps up and he gets his goal, 1-0 to City. From there, City begin to control the game, and Man United struggled to keep hold of the ball and get things going. On the last few attacks that we had in terms of Højlund going through on goal for us, and I think the defender gets a touch on it, wasn't really good enough, should have done better with that. We then start looking to our better players. When you start looking at Rashford and you start looking at Bruno, those are our best players in the team. Those are the players that can make things happen. Did they step up to the plate today? They didn't, guys. And I think you guys at home will agree with me. They didn't step up to the plate today. Looking around the team, when at the starting 11, we was quite shocked here in the studio. We're seeing Johnny Evans come into the side and Lindelof play at left back. Now, when that 11 was actually communicated to us, we thought that there may be changes. We thought that it might have been sort of like an early leak. However, as soon as it was official, I knew from then it was going to be an uphill task. When you're starting a Manchester derby with Harry Maguire, who admittedly has played good in the last few games, and Johnny Evans, it is definitely asking for trouble. Haaland, for large parts, didn't really do much. He gets the penalty, great. But then slowly but surely, he starts creeping into the game, into the second half. And Haley mentioned it, Man City were doing the exact same patterns of play that we just couldn't read. Onana made some great saves today. And when he's making those saves, we should be learning from what got us in that position in the first place. Guys, I'll honestly say this. I do think that, Ten Hag has to be at fault for today's performance. I think that the team selection could have been much better. I understood why McTominay was in the squad. I understand why he was in the squad based off merit from the last few games. However, I would have liked to see players with a little bit more ability in there. Hannibal's of this world. I think Mount should have started alongside Amrabat, who also wasn't that great today as well. I think it's probably one of his worst games. But United, for much of the game, just couldn't get going. One of the things about this United team currently right now is we are not clinical enough. We are not clinical. We finally have a recognised number 9, and we're unable to put the ball in the back of the net. That is going to leave us in deep trouble towards the end of the season if we can't be putting the ball in the back of the net. Look, it's against Man City. We weren't the favourites today, but still, I still expect United to be dangerous in parts against them. Early on, I thought United were quite aggressive. We came out of the blocks, flew at City, and we was trying to make things happen. And we thought, you know what? This is a good start. There was actually great link-up play in the only early 5 to 10 minutes between sort of the Højlund and Rashfords of this world. But as the time progressed and as the match sort of prolonged, we wasn't able to get things done with them today. Do I think City were that much better than us? Yes, the score will reflect that. But what I will say is they weren't that great either. And I think that's what hurts, guys. I think it's the hope that hurts, innit? Right? The hope that kills me. Because I wanted to come in today to think that, look, if we're all focused, it's a derby. They say form goes out the window with these games. Can we get something? I predicted a draw. I thought we could maybe just nick a draw and move on and keep it moving to the next game. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be today. But here's some of the main talking points. So, Andre Onana, I just want to say I apologise. I apologise. I've been very, very critical of Andre Onana within the last couple of weeks. And maybe I'm flip-flop FC. I don't mind being labelled a flip-flop. Great. But today, from what I saw today, was a much assured performance. Even though 3 goals have been shipped, I don't blame him for any of those. He made some fantastic saves today that kept the scoreline at 3. It could have easily been 4, 5, maybe even 6. Yeah, maybe I'm reaching a little bit, but could have easily been 6-0 if some of the chances would have gone in. He made 3, 4 absolutely beautiful saves. I thought his sweeper keeping was a lot better. He looked a lot more confident, and you can tell that, this is a player that is growing in confidence within a bad team at this moment in time. One thing I will say about Onana is that he hasn't had a settled back four in front of him. So that's what Sol actually said. I got to credit Sol for that. You know, he said that Onana hasn't had a settled back four in front of him. So obviously there's going to be inconsistency with his gameplay too. Looking into the midfield, we're looking at players like Bruno to try and lift us. Bruno's played yet again on the right wing. This is where my manager is at fault for this. Look, when Bruno starts coming into the midfield, and it was at the end of the first half, he was making things happen. He was popping up in positions, he was spraying the ball around, he was getting on the ball more. He was starting to affect the game a little bit more. But again, when the second half comes, he goes back out to the right. And guys, I just don't think that it doesn't take a rocket scientist. Bruno might even say, yeah, boss, play me there. We don't know what's being said behind closed doors. But what we do know is that he doesn't play his best football there. And I believe in a derby, you have to play your best players in their best positions. Should he have gone with Anthony? Who knows? Look, hindsight's 2020. Maybe he should have gone with Anthony, made it a little bit more balanced, made the attack a little bit more balanced. But he didn't do that. So that's why I think our manager is at fault for today's game. Again, big players not stepping up to the plate, big players not taking their chances. It's sort of the common theme this season that Manchester United is exhibiting. We need to get better, guys. We need to get better. We need to start putting points on the board, and we need to start trying to go on a run. City was a tough game. It was always going to be a tough ask, even at home. We need to be getting points on the board, and we still need to build up momentum and confidence. We've got a game in midweek. We need to really, really push on and get some players into form. But what does Erik ten Hag do, guys? You guys at home, what do you think? Does Erik ten Hag take off the likes of Rashford, who, again, for large parts today was poor? Does he maybe move? Well, he should move Bruno into the middle of the park. Maybe Mason Mount comes onto the right wing. If you need a little bit more, football and a little bit more triangles and the passing and stuff like that, and the link-up play, maybe do bring in Mason Mount on the right. Ten Hag needs to change something, guys. When we looked on the bench, we saw Garnacho, Martial, Rafael Varane was on the bench, as well as Reguilon, who didn't start, who I heard there was a slight injury there as well. He needs to change something, and maybe some of these bench players need to now come into the first team, give some of these first teamers a bit of a rest, because quite frankly, they haven't been good enough, and they haven't been good enough for the last 4 games, right? As I said, game in midweek, maybe he'll try some new things. I heard Kobbie Mainoo's back. He was on the bench, so he's a great addition to this midfield. I thought Amrabat struggled as well, so maybe you bring in a Kobbie Mainoo to, give certain players a rest. I hope so. Hannibal was another player that wasn't used today. Maybe we should think about incorporating him into the next few games. I think what needs to happen is there needs to be a change. Ten Hag needs to switch it up now. We're tired of the same players playing who aren't performing, and they're still being allowed to play. Guys, we have the next game. Is always trying to be positive and get to the next game. We want you guys at home to try and remain focused through this time and positive with us. And hopefully Ten Hag can switch up in the next game. Peace.